now we're live. Oh, I have technological challenges, but welcome to Moments of Truth here on Positive Awakening. And thank you for tuning in. Today, we're looking at what has your life been preparing you for? Now, I had a coach once when I was talking to her about this subject. She said, no, you should be looking at what have you been, the way you would say it is, what have you been preparing your whole life for? I said, no, that's not how it is for me. I have not gone out to prepare myself for this. My life prepared me for this. That's what's so amazing. It's like when I work with speakers about speaking your truth and honoring your God-given gifts, like we talked about last week, we're now looking at that piece of looking at, well, what is your truth? And I kind of look at your whole life and see what has your life been preparing you for? Because I figure if the divine has anything to do with my life, which I have found out it has a lot to do with my life, it's been preparing me for what I'm being asked to do. So when you look at, oh, what has my life been preparing me for? I had this conversation with my husband yesterday, and I said, and he was saying, well, what's my life been preparing? Well, what has your life been preparing you for is what he started with. I go, well, when I look at all the things I've done, so I call them, you know, your well-trained talents, because there are some things you actually went out to learn. And I stepped into leading seminars for an international training corporation in, let's see, I first started participating with them in '83, and I completed working with them in 2000, just about the time I ended up in Medjugorje. You can tune into one of the other weeks to hear about that spiritual awakening for myself. But while I was working with them, I was trained and I was good. And I was one of their, awarded speakers for actually producing amazing results with the people in my seminars. And I would speak to 100 people once a week and manage an ongoing conversation with them over 10 weeks. And then I'd do it again. So each year I would lead like 3 of these seminars, and I got really good with their material, being on stage and being comfortable in asking people the questions about what's meaningful to them. So that I knew was training for me. But what I didn't know, because one of the other things you'll see, there's a little graphic that Sophia's going to post down below. One of the other graphics is like everything in your life belongs. And you can go, no, that has nothing to do with this. Well, I used to be 210 pounds. That was even while I was leading these seminars about you can have anything you want in your life, I was 210 pounds. And after having gone to Medjugorje and all of that, I kind of argued with the priest there, saying, I don't like my life. I don't like who I've become. I don't like how I am. I don't like being 210 pounds. I don't like being all this sort of stuff. Well, almost 2 years to the day of that argument with that priest, I got kind of picked up and dropped in a 12-step program for food addiction. And all of a sudden, and truly, like the week before, I'd been saying I wanted to be able to pray more daily, and I wanted to talk to more of my friends, and I wanted to be a size 12 by Christmas, and all that kind of stuff. Well, this food addiction program, I got to be a size 10 by Christmas. I got to pray more daily, meditate daily, all these little answered prayers. But what I never expected was 18 years I've been in that program would really teach me about authenticity and speaking with your open heart. I didn't go there to get trained to speak. I knew how to speak, but that 12-step program, I watched people go be more authentic about what's really going on. The things that you think nobody needs to know about are the things we care most about. So here I am, I'm like, wow, I got prepared to talk about vulnerability and to actually encourage people to speak from their heart and their vulnerability, in addition to my well-trained talents that I went out to do. So we look at this piece like everything in your life belongs. And what you have to do, your little piece, is you have to claim your talents. You have to recognize, oh, I do have talents. Those are mine. And I was talking with someone else about this because, I love talking about this conversation. And before I bring it to you, I like to test it out. And my friend goes, you know, I can claim I have talents all day long, but do I believe I'm talented? And that's a really good question. Do you believe you're talented? But what I really mean when I say claim, I mean like stake your claim, like own it, like I am talented. I claim this as my own. Like if you were owning a gold mine or something, you're like, I've staked my claim. That's my gold, right? So I want you to look and see what has your life been preparing you for? What are your talents? What are the things you actually went out to train yourself to do? What are the things you found life trained you to do that you didn't expect? One of the other things I thought when I left leading seminars, I was going to go lead seminars for another company because I didn't think I had anything to say. So I found a company that was all about vulnerability and about claiming your gifts. And I'm like, oh, it sounded really in alignment with me. So I went and learned about how to speak, how to know what's really true for you, how to find what we call your heart's virtues. Like, what are the words that when you speak them, they resonate? And I'm like, oh, I'm going to teach for these people because this is really awesome. I get to introduce people to themselves because, sometimes we don't know ourselves, or we don't get to know ourselves the way others might even get to know us. And sometimes I think the world has actually trained us to not know who we are because it's a whole lot easier for corporate and everybody else if we didn't know how to speak our truth and we didn't know what was meaningful to us. So I'm all ready to lead for this community, and it dissolved. The leader of the community got married, had a new thing, the other people involved got doing something else, and I'm like, okay, God, what'd you get? I thought we were going here. Like, I thought this is where you wanted me. And what I really got was, no, I needed you to pick up that piece so that when you work with your speakers, they get to know what's meaningful to them. So they get to really speak in a way that they care about what they're doing. So what I care about, my virtues, I'm committed to honor, to belonging, and what I call enchanted play. So last week, you remember we talked about honoring your God-given gifts. And today we're talking about everything in your life belongs. There's nothing that happened by accident. And it's almost always the thing you think nobody needs to hear. That's the thing you should be shouting from the rooftops. And next week when we meet, we'll be talking about the enchanted play, the part where you go, oh, that's how come this is turning out that way. So for me, when we get to that part of speaking your truth and we get the intersection of our God-given gifts and our well-trained talents and the miracle, the enchanted play, that's when we get to the miracle zone. So keep tuning in because we will be talking about that more next week and the week after. So my commitment to you is that you are learning about yourself, owning your talents, claiming your talents, sharing them with the world, and taking a look at what's the path. And so when my husband asked me that question of, well, what have I been being trained? What is my path? Like, what can I see? How does everything belong? I said, well, I've been trained to help people speak their truth and have you be who you were meant to be, not who you were trained to be. And he goes, oh, I can get that. He goes, well, what do you think what I've been being trained to? And I looked at him and I said, you've been being trained to support me in getting this message out to the world. Because he had been at every seminar I led. He supported me from the back of the room. We have a whole area in here where I lead my seminars, and he's set it all up. He sets up the sound. He's been a general contractor, so he can solve all sorts of problems. And it was just fun to be able to claim, oh no, your whole life has been preparing you to support this message getting out to the world. So take a look and see what has your life been preparing you for. And for those of you who want to know more and want to get into really speaking your truth, I have a 3-day event that comes up September 23rd through 25th. And Sophie will put a link in the chat. Come find us. It's Speak Your Truth. And I want to give you a gift today. And I will continue to put it a gift. Sophia doesn't know this. But if you go to register, it says it's $297 to come to my event. But if you put the coupon 200, capital O, capital F, you get $200 off. And it's $97 to come to my event. So given you're here in my community and you've listened this far into the Facebook Live, I say, come join me for $97. Blessings, and I'll see you again next week.